Coming up on the South Florida High School Football Show, we embark on year number 11 with a look at the champions. Booker T. Washington and Central and Dade County off to great starts. In Broward County, we'll examine American heritage. We'll go one-on-one with one of the all-time great coaches. Plus, Larry Bluestein breaks down the top quarterbacks. All of that and more on the South Florida High School Football Show. Hello once again, everybody, and welcome to the South Florida High School Football Show, presented by the Miami Dolphins. I'm Joe Zagacki with Don Bailey Jr. for year number 11. Can you believe that?
Time flies when you're having fun, Joseph.
We're at the Regal Cinemas, Broward Stadium 12, and RPX, which means we're at the movies. Get the popcorn. It also means we're Siskel and Ebert.
Go ahead.
Which
you're
one
first.
are you, Siskel or Ebert?
I'll be Ebert.
Okay, very good. All right, coming up on our show, we got a great show for the debut this year. Central took on Booker T. Washington this weekend. We'll have all those highlights coming up, a tremendous effort between those two teams. But first, let's take a look at the defending champs. Booker T. last year won the national championship along with the state championship. Got off to a great start this year.
They did, Joe, and now they have a new head coach, and it's Tim Harris Jr., Ice's son, who's taken over as a head coach there. And it doesn't look like they've missed a step. The good thing about that transition is that Junior understands the discipline that's needed. He understands what works at Booker T. Again, they are loaded with talent, and when you continue to have five-star athletes that are able to go on to the collegiate level and be productive at your high school, anything is possible, including a national championship.
One of the things that Booker T has done so well is the off-season work, and this year that began in the summer with the 7-on-7. They went out and they won those 7-on-7 tournaments, and that's where they started all of their execution.
So I think that's one of the key components for any high school program that's going to be successful is your off-season. You see what's happened in the National Football League with that. You see what's happening in college, and it's also taking place in high school.
All right, let's move on to Broward County. American Heritage, last year they won 14 straight games. They won the state championship. Now they've had a very tough schedule to kick things off. They opened up with Dwyer and then St. Thomas, a tale of two stories. They opened up against Dwyer and they completely dominated Dwyer.
Well, they did, a very big win for them, a confidence builder, the way that you want to start the season. Coach Rumpf has done a phenomenal job there, but more importantly, they come back in a short week. They face St. Thomas. And as you know, forget the short week part of it. If you are not on top of your game and you have to play St. Thomas and you're not ready in one of those three phases of football, you're going to have a long evening, and that they did.
They did, but they're going to have a great year. Torrance Gibson is their quarterback. In the opener, he counted for 6 touchdowns. This kid has a tremendous arm.
He does, Joe, but the thing that makes him so special, too, is that he runs that offense so efficiently. When you talk about a young man this early in the season being able to contribute 6 touchdowns on that side of the football, it's almost an amazing figure.
Back on the road, Central, as we go back into Miami-Dade County, speaking of being on the road, that's how they've opened the season with back-to-back games on the road. They started by going to Alabama. That was a hard-fought game, and they were a winner over Hoover.
Well, Alabama is a state that notoriously has pumped out great football players, so you know that the competition was going to be as tough as it can get. You go on the road in a hostile environment, in a place that you are not used to traveling, and you go and you win in a hard-fought game. It's going to pay dividends throughout the rest of the season.
They have that big offensive line, a monstrous offensive line, and Roland Smith has put together just a power running attack.
Well, it's nice to see that Roland Smith has transitioned from being the head coach at Northwestern. And
he knows defense too, and they've got a pretty darn good defense.
Yeah, he was schooled pretty well on the defensive side of the football at his days at the University of Miami. And the defense is what's going to help them as they go deeper into the playoffs and they get into this season. You can talk about offense and the points, but at some point that defense has to show up and be able to shut down the opponent.
All right, we are at the Regal Cinemas Broward 12. Booker T and Central put on a pretty good show this weekend. Joe Rose has all the highlights. Hey, Joe, thumbs up.
Thanks, Joe and Don. Well, it's time for a busy night of Friday night high school football. Here we go. Number 5 Booker T. Washington take on number 6 Miami Central. Second quarter game tied at 7. Special teams playing a role in this one. Booker T. blocks a Central punt, and James King picks the loose ball up, and he's gone. Untouched to the house. Now late in the fourth. Booker T. up 21-20. Central trying to come back. Jared Thomas gets sacked in bounds, and the time would run out on Central. Booker T holds on. Thursday night football. South Dade facing Carroll City at Travis Powell Stadium. Second quarter. Carroll City gets in on the board first. Ron Ellington, no room to run to the left, so he comes back to the right. He's off to the races. 53-yard touchdown. 6-0 Chiefs. But South Dade ties it up and forces overtime and an OT. PJ Coates goes airborne, flips into the end zone to tie the game up at 12. Then Mark Sanchez wins it with the extra point, 13-12, the final.
The South Florida High School Football Show is brought to you by the Miami Dolphins, the U.S. Army. There's strong, and then there's Army Strong. Tico People's Gas, reminding you to call 811 before you dig. Metro PCS, wireless for all. South Florida Chevy dealers, find new roads. Broward Health, powerful medicine. Regal Entertainment Group, where we are more than just a movie. Adidas Football and the Addy Zero 5-Star 3.0, and 560 WQAM Sports Radio.
At some point, it became more important to show off than to share. We started missing the good stuff around us, just so we could focus on what makes our lives look good. But it's not the quality of the picture that matters. It's the quality of the moment. The Chevrolet Malibu, J.D. Power's highest-ranked midsize car in initial quality, for people who know what's truly valuable.
Follow your pass. Hey, watch out. Force it up. Push up. This time, get your foot.
Baby, what's the fastest way to the hospital?
It's coming.
What do you mean it's coming?
I'm pushing, but it's too slow.
No, baby, breathe.
At times like these, you shouldn't go slow. You should be fast. With Metro's lightning fast nationwide 4G LTE network. With unlimited data, talk, and text, $40, period.
Twins.
No surprises. Even taxes and fees are included. $40, period.
The recruiting segment is brought to you by Metro PCS, wireless for all.
Welcome back to the South Florida High School Football Show presented by the Miami Dolphins. Joe Zagacki with Don Bailey Jr. We're at the movies. We're at the Regal Cinemas, Broward Stadium 12 and RPX. Boy, are we ever at the movies. I can hear the RPX. This, by the way, is going to be an Academy Award-winning segment.
I'm ready, Joe. Lead us off.
How far into the show do you think I'm going to go before I run out of movie references?
It'll go for probably 10 or 11 weeks.
Okay. Our first recruiting segment, we're going to get to Old Blue in a moment. We're going to talk about the quarterbacks in the area. And quarterbacks down here really have started to develop. I think they've really started to develop because of the spread offenses and all the 7-on-7.
Well, you just take the last couple of years. Teddy Bridgewater out of Miami Northwestern goes to Louisville and is a first-round draft pick this past draft into the National Football League. But I think when you look at the quarterback position, both locally and nationally, how it has changed is these quarterbacks are getting so many more reps due to the 7-on-7 camps. They're almost playing football year-round and competing year-round. So now, not only do the colleges have more film, more tape, and more opportunity to evaluate these players, they're also being developed onto what system they fit in. That position, people realize, if you're going to win championships, whether it's a national championship or a conference championship, you better have the trigger man in place.
All right, well, Larry Bluestein is our lead actor when it comes to recruiting. Like that one? I like that. And I'm going to dial him up right here on our Metro PCS LG Optimus F6 and find out about the quarterbacks. Old Blue, welcome back to the show. Tell us about the quarterbacks.
Well, hey, Don and Joe, welcome to a new year. We have quarterbacks, and I'll tell you what, in the class of 2015, in both Dade and Broward, we have quality football talent. Let's start in Dade County. Maurice Alexander, This is a quality football player, guys. He came from Homestead. He's at Booker T now, one of the leaders, threw for over 3,000 yards last year. Look for this guy to do it again. He's a very intelligent kid on his way to FIU. Also in Dade County, from North Miami Beach, one of the you'll pretty much know the last name Wiggins. He's Cedric Wiggins. His lineage at North Miami Beach, very versatile guy. He could play quarterback, but also play a number of other positions. If you're at North Miami Beach, you do a lot of things, play in the secondary, but he's a great quarterback. He moves the pocket real well. He runs extremely well. And this is a tremendous kid. Rounding out the Dade County top 3 quarterbacks is DeAndre Pickett-White from Southwest Miami. Now the Eagles have landed, obviously. This is a guy that led the team to a district title last year. They want to go one step further, and with him they can. He's got the arm, he's got the legs, one of the incredibly accurate passers. So there's 3 guys in Dade County. In Broward County, it's the same old story. Ryan Stanley from Flanagan comes in as one of the top quarterbacks. This is a kid that last year blew it up very well. This year will be enhanced because he has a better running game, more experienced offensive line, and a quality group of receivers as well, including Amani Spence. Also in Broward County, you have Torrance Gibson from American Heritage. This is a guy that pretty much won 5A state title last year for the Patriots, moves out of the pocket, has an exceptional arm, throws like 78, almost 80 yards in the air, doesn't have all the experience weapons he had last year, but certainly a quality football player. And the last one is a guy that nobody really heard much about, Michael Harris. He comes from Monarch. Last year was the 2nd leading passer in the entire state. Spends the first 7 games as the leading passer. Well, when you have Calvin Ridley and you have players like that, it's very easy. Guys, I will tell you this, quarterback-wise in Dade County and Broward County, experience, colleges are looking for them. This is a great year for quarterbacks in the class of 2015.
Thanks, Larry. Remember, South Florida High School football fans, you can stay in the know with the latest news and updates by following us on social media.
Follow us on Twitter at HSFBall, Instagram at SFHSFS, and be sure to like us on Facebook at South Florida High School Football.
We continue now with our Broward Health Injury Report, and joining us is Dr. Frank Walters, and one of the hot topics all around the country is concussions. And here at Broward Health, Doctor, you have a program for concussions.
Yes, we collaborate with the Broward County Public Schools and Nova Southeastern University to provide baseline concussion management testing with the IMPACT program. That program is what we use in the event that an athlete is injured. We take the baseline test, compare it to the post-injury test, and then figure out where they are in terms of returning to play.
Why has this research in a program like this become so important?
It's critically important because concussions can have long-term issues. We deal with it immediately, but then we bring the athlete back in a graded manner, and we want to make sure that when they return to play that there are no lingering problems.
And certainly there has to be a little bit of time before they return to play.
Absolutely, and we want to make sure that they're functioning both cognitively as well as physically, and that activity doesn't cause a return of the symptoms. So it's important to pay attention to their normal activity both before, during, and after the injury.
All right, very good. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Dr. Frank Walters joining us here at Broward Health.
The Play of the Week is brought to you by Regal Entertainment Group, where we are more than just a movie.
St. Thomas hosting Dillard. That's Jordan Scarlett with the ball. He busts through the line, then runs untouched. 66 yards for the touchdown. And our Play of the Week.
With more than 50 locations across Broward County, there's always a Broward Health doctor's office, urgent care center, or top-ranked hospital within range. Maybe even closer than you think.
Broward Health. Powerful medicine.
To find the Broward Health facility nearest you, call or go online.
As a kid, I wanted to play football to make me stronger. At Dolphins Academy, I saw my skills grow. Campmates turned into teammates. Summer days in shorts turned into Sundays in pads.
I'm Olivier Vernon, and we are stronger together.
Join us at Dolphins.com.
for outdoor projects large or small. Avoiding buried utility lines is more than food for thought.
What happened?
Know what's below. You or your contractor should always call 811 before you dig. Utilities will mark your lines for free. Brought to you by Tico People's Gas.
The Coach of the Week is brought to you by Adidas Football and the Adizero 5-Star 3.0. The lightest cleat in football can be bought at adidas.com/football.
The South Florida High School Football Show continues, presented by the Miami Dolphins. Joe Zagacki with Don Bailey Jr. as we come to you from the Regal Cinemas, Broward Stadium 12 and RPX. All right, let's talk about the high school coaches in this area. They are loyal and dedicated. They give a lot of time to their schools and to the student athletes.
They do, Joe, and one thing when you look back over the history of time and you watch all of these players that go to the National Football League or even into the college level, they always look back and thank those high school coaches. They are fathers to so many kids. They change people's lives, and they constantly work on improving these young men and preparing them for life after high school football.
Every week we like to profile one coach from Miami-Dade or Broward County. This week a little bit different. Former coach, but kind of the dean of all the coaches, George Smith, who is now the athletic director at St. Thomas, but the longtime former coach at Aquinas.
Well, what an example he has set for all coaches, no matter where they're from. When you look at what he did, his amount of kids that he put into high school, but also built a foundation at St. Thomas, and more importantly, has set an example for all coaches to follow.
All right, here's George Smith with our Wesley Carroll.
Thanks, Joe and Don. Here with former high school great George Smith, former high school coach of St. Thomas Aquinas and now current athletic director. Coach, we want to talk about the upcoming season. What do we have to look forward to from the Raider Nation?
Well, Wes, I really think, I mean, you played here. You're part of the tradition that went on here. You were one of the guys that played in the monumental 2006 comeback against Lakeland, which was still talked about. But for us this year, moving on to 2014, we have really worked hard. Coach Biasotti in the strength situation, and the kids worked their butts off starting in February and through the summer. So I think we look pretty good. We've got some kids that really want to play, and we got some pretty good players, but we'll see. I mean, obviously, you never know until you actually start getting into the season what the camaraderie is, how the kids feel about each other. But right now, I feel that they feel really good about themselves.
You know, Coach, you talk about the camaraderie with the team. Now, there's some new additions this year that happened to stumble upon St. Thomas. Great guys like Brandon Boyce and Sam Bruce and Jordan Scarlett. How have those guys been fitting in this year so far?
Well, Wes, those three guys have come in here and made a name for themselves. They're no nonsense. All three of those guys are good students. Boyce is committed to Duke, which is a heck of a deal, and Sam, of course, is a junior, and Jordan are both committed to Miami. But they've come in here, they've made an impact, they've fit into the team has accepted them, and I'm very impressed with all three of those guys as far as coming into a program and from a successful one at university and coming into ours and fitting in and want to make a difference.
That's right. They were coached up really well by Coach Harriet over at University School. Now, let's talk about academics. It's very important here. I know that the guys have a huge chip on their shoulder to keep up with the tough curriculum here at St. Thomas. How do they balance that as well as playing such a high level of football?
Well, I mean, when you were here, we had the same type of guys, and you're going to have guys that are very smart, and you're going to have guys that have to work hard, and some of those smart guys don't work as hard as the other guys. So, but it's balanced out, and I think that our guys are proud of their GPAs and proud of what they do and proud of their report cards, and they understand the fact that that's the key to everything else. If you don't have what you need to do academically, you're really not going to go anywhere unless, you know, there's no way, no matter how good you are.
Coach, thank you for your time. Back to you, Joe and Don.
Thanks, Wes. Tico People's Gas is awarding the 6th Annual Player of the Year Awards to a player in Miami-Dade and a player in Broward County.
Fans can nominate a player by logging on to SouthFloridaHighSchoolFootball.com. Click on the Tico Player of the Year icon. Nominations are open until November 30th. After November 30th, revisit the site and vote for the finalists.
The players receive a beautiful crystal trophy, and their school receives a $500 donation.
Tune in to our National Signing Day TV show on February 4th, where the winners are going to be announced.
This Dolphin Player High School Flashback is sponsored by the Miami Dolphins.
Hi, my name is Troy Drayton of the Miami Dolphins. I played high school football in Stilton, Pennsylvania for the Still High Steamrollers. I think my fondest memory of high school was the fact that my town was always at every single game. But more importantly, all the lessons that my high school coach, Nick Gavelovich, taught me. He taught me to be disciplined, he taught me to be tough, but he also taught me to give 100% in everything that I did. And when I look back at all the lessons that he taught me, those were the things that I carry on in life. I mean, every time I stepped out on the football field, I was dedicated to my teammates. I was dedicated to my team. I gave 100% in everything that I did. I was disciplined in my craft. And I think those are the type of things that you really want to take into life. You want to take the discipline. You want to take being tough-minded, because the mental part of it is a part that, you know, a lot of athletes really need and they need to work on. I mean, the physical attributes, everybody has those, but the mental part of it, I think every athlete needs to pretty much work on. So if I were to give my advice to any athlete out there, is to work hard, be disciplined in your craft, but more importantly, put your education first. And I think through education, all of these things, your discipline, you're working at your craft, all of these things actually become true.
This week's All-American Bowl nominees are brought to you by the U.S. Army. There's strong, and then there's Army strong. This week we kick things off with Alex Anderson, the running back out of Miramar High School. Entering his senior year, Anderson stacks in at 6 feet, 185 pounds. This past May, he committed to West Virginia and could not be happier. With his positive attitude, he hopes to enjoy his final year by leaving everything he's got on the field. Next up, the Northwestern cornerback DeAndre Baker. Baker comes in at 5'11", 175 pounds, and received offers from schools such as Texas, Cincinnati, Clemson, and FIU, but gave his verbal back in June to Georgia. Look for this senior to end the year with a bang and set off to begin his future as a Bulldog.
You love movies. Join the club and the movies will love you back. The Regal Crown Club. With every visit, you earn credits toward free movies, popcorn, and soft drinks. Plus, with a valid email, you'll get money-saving offers and special invitations to exclusive events. Grab a card at the box office, activate it at regmovies.com, or visit our Regal Movies mobile app. Then earn rewards with a swipe or scan of your card right from your phone. So share the love. Join the club, the Regal Crown Club.
At some point, it became more important to show off than to share. We started missing the good stuff around us, just so we could focus on what makes our lives look good. But it's not the quality of the picture that matters. It's the quality of the moment. The Chevrolet Malibu, J.D. Power's highest-ranked midsize car in initial quality, for people who know what's truly valuable.
Chevy dealers are on site at our radio broadcast to present a donation to the schools we are covering as part of the South Florida Chevy Dealers Game of the Week. Each school receives a general donation of $250 from the South Florida Chevy dealers. Congratulations to American Heritage and to St. Thomas. Find new roads at your local South Florida Chevy dealer.
Continue with the South Florida High School Football Show presented by the Miami Dolphins, coming to you from the Regal Cinemas, Broward Stadium 12, and RPX, Joe Zagacki, Don Bailey Jr. Another year of great radio games. Calling those games, Mike Levine and Wesley Carroll.
Thanks, Joe and Don. Well, we have an outstanding South Florida Chevy Dealers Game of the Week schedule each and every year, Wes. We just continue to amaze. And in week one, it was St. Thomas and American Heritage. Both teams #1 in their respective divisions. A lot of transfer talent, but of course, St. Thomas Aquinas, with all their transfer talent, took down American Heritage. And of course, in week two, Central and Booker T. Always a great matchup at Travis Powell Stadium, loaded with talent. You'll see a lot of those guys at the next level. The Tornadoes took down the Rockets in that week two matchup. On the week number 3. It's always kind of that pivotal point in November. Hialeah Miami Lakes against Hialeah down at Mylander Park. Those two teams do not like each other for sure. Flanagan and Cypress Bay is in week 4 of September. That one's in CB, kind of a turnaround year for Mark Wandolo.
Well, not only a turnaround year for Mark Wandolo, but Flanagan had an unbelievable year last year, only to get beat in the first round by Deerfield on a very controversial call. Those kids are playing with a chip on their shoulder, and they have a lot to prove this year.
Closing out September will be St. Thomas against Nova. That one should be a one-sided affair.
Yeah, we would predict that right now to be one-sided, but you never know. There's always an upset. A lot of people that play St. Thomas do play with that chip on their shoulder, trying to prove to everybody that they can play with the best.
Yeah, it's the #1 St. Thomas team in 7A. North Miami Beach against North Miami opening up October. That's a Thursday night game. That should be outstanding.
Yeah, a lot of competition in that game. Like you said earlier, a lot of teams that are looking at those guys to play at the next level. We'll get to feature a lot of those guys and a lot of good, talented football.
Booker T and Northwestern in week 7. Yeah, that's, I think there's a little bit of talent in that game.
Yeah, Northwestern didn't do as well as they would have liked to last year. They had a kind of rebuilding year, but not too bad coming back with a lot more experience now at quarterback, which will certainly help and win those fourth quarter games for them.
Talking about rebuilding, U School lost a bunch of kids to transfer. They just need to rebuild their roster. They have Glade Central in middle October.
That'll be a tough one. They lost a lot of their players this year with Coach Harriet leaving, and a lot of those guys landed here at St. Thomas to definitely give them a pretty good fortune.
Week 9 of our South Florida Chevy Dealers Game of the Week. You have Miramar and Cypress Bay. That one in Miramar. Woo, big time game there.
Miramar has been competitive the last decade, doing extremely well. Cypress Bay, though, really looking forward to watching Mikey Epstein continue to carry the rock. He's only going to be a sophomore, but the kid, number 26, Mikey Epstein, is built to play the game.
That Epstein family, a lot of football bloodlines there. Hey, down at Harris Field to close out October on Halloween, your favorite day, Homestead and Northwestern. Homestead's going to have the home field there.
Homestead will definitely have the home field advantage. Anybody's game, but definitely a home field advantage.
And to close out the regular season, week 11, November 7th, St. Thomas and Deerfield. That game in Deerfield, always a tricky battle.
Deerfield and St. Thomas have battled over the last couple decades, always been a toss-up who's going to win that game, but going into the playoffs definitely could be a big momentum boost either way.
All right, and then, of course, we enter the playoffs November 14th, November 21st, and December 5th. We have 3 weekends into the postseason. Nothing better than South Florida high school football. Those are the best games on paper, and, of course, we do have a flex schedule possibility as well should other games come up. So Wes and I always love calling those games, and it should be a lot of fun. Joe, Don, back to you.
All right, fellas, thank you very much. We appreciate it. We're off to a great start here on the South Florida High School Football Show. Join us next week on Sunday as we come to you at 6:30 a.m., a new time next week at 6:30 a.m. You enjoying that popcorn?
Delicious.
Me too. Let's go to the movies. We'll see you next week right here on the South Florida High School Football Show.
The South Florida High School Football Show has been brought to you by the Miami Dolphins, the U.S. Army. There's strong, and then there's Army strong. Tico People's Gas, reminding you to call 811 before you dig. Metro PCS, wireless for all. South Florida Chevy Dealers, find new roads. Broward Health, powerful medicine. Regal Entertainment Group, where we are more than just a movie. Adidas Football and the Addy Zero 5-Star 3.0. And 560 WQAM Sports Radio.
Every time we cut the lights on, it's time to play.
Yes,
who are you going to represent?
Nova Titan.
Nova Titan. You're going to represent your brothers in this DB group. You're going to represent the Nova Titan family. Understand?
Yes, sir.
Same way you go out and represent your family when you walk the streets, you represent that family when you cross inside these lines.
Yes,
get that mind right, get that blood start to boil. When we light that kickoff on, it's time to go.